Welcome to Spring LIB.
All right, so we're talking about different types of ecology here and how these ecologists in each of these fields might be able to interact and how easily or difficult it would be for them to do that. So let's just define each and then think about it. Organismal ecology looks at specific organisms and their behaviors and tries to figure out why they have the adaptations that they do. Population ecology looks at all the species, so all the individuals of a species that live in an area. I'll just put this here. So they're just looking at one species in an area. So, for example, all the bears that live in a forest, specifically all the brown bears that live in a forest. Community ecology looks at all the populations in an area, so all the living things and how they interact. And then ecosystem ecology looks at all the living and non-living things and figures out how the non-living factors are interacted with by the living organisms that live in the area. So now that we know the definition of each of those, let's talk about how they might interact. And they all interact. They can all interact. It's just about which ones naturally fit together and which ones might take a little work. For example, if someone is studying a certain organism and organismal ecology, they would want to work with someone who studies all of those organisms in an area, because as they learn about the behaviors of that organism and their adaptations, they can look and see how each of those organisms work within that area to use those behaviors and how they affect each other. An ecosystem ecologist, they're going to want to know about how the organism's adaptations work so that they can understand how it interacts with the non-living factors in an area. So even though they're the farthest apart, they have a pretty close connection with each other. So those are a couple of good ones. Let's just do one that might be more difficult. If someone's looking at, as a community ecologist, all of the communities in an area, or I should say all the populations in an area, to work with an organismal ecologist and to look at a specific behavior is not going to be as helpful to them. They're looking more of a big picture thing, and this person's more focused on the small picture. And so they're looking at how these different populations interact, a community ecologist, and an organismal one's only going to look at one specific behavior of one specific species. And so it's going to be more difficult for them to work together. They're not going to be as helpful for each other, although at times they definitely could help each other. So just based on the definitions of these, you could probably think through some other ways besides the ones I've mentioned here, other ways they could interact with each other and whether or not it's going to be easy or difficult. But that's a pretty basic introduction to it.